How's it going, everybody, and welcome to another guide video brought to you by AZG. Today we are going to be playing probably one of the more unique characters in Evolve Stage 2, and that would be ElectroGriffin. He is a trapper that you can play in the game, and damn is he a lot of fun to play. There is a stock player called Griffin, and he's not all jazzed out in the wonderful retro 80s feel, but ElectroGriffin is a lot of fun to play, although there are quite a few differences between his kit and the standard Griffin kit, and hopefully this video will help you understand the difference between the two. So immediately you can see ElectroGriffin still has the sound spikes, but instead of the standard model for the sound spikes, they have this cool little retro thing like a lightning bolt strikes and these little Japanese characters pop out of it. But it still acts the exact same way. It still does the same thing. It's just if the monster walks into the certain radius of it, it's going to reveal his location for as long as he is within the radius of that sound spike. And here we actually catch the monster in our line of sight relatively quickly, but you can tell ElectroGriffin's SMG is actually a lot different from the standard Griffin's SMG. The primary differences between the two is that ElectroGriffin's will actually apply a slow. Because most trappers have some form of stasis, some kind of a slow. The way that they've built it into ElectroGriffin's is by his SMG actually providing a slow, and as you can see, his harpoon is actually a little bit different. Again, it still acts the same way, but there are quite a few important differences. The main one being is that as long as you have the harpoon in the monster, it plays a pretty sick solo until the monster breaks that harpoon off. You can kind of hear it right there. You hear the like the whammy bar sound. But it is very, very interesting how this kit actually works. So you can tell that with my SMG, when I hit him, you kind of see the little stasis markers on the monster. And it does provide a very brief slow. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's half a second for each shot. So if you hit him with a round, he's slowed for about half of a second, and then the slow drops off the monster unless you continue to hit consecutive shots that are going to continue to slow him for that half second. The drawback to this is obviously the SMG that ElectroGriffin has is very low accuracy. It does not do a lot of damage, and it's not accurate at all. So at range, you're not going to be hitting the monster a whole lot. You cannot expect to sit there and just nail him over and over and over. So he is very much a close range trapper. If I'm not mistaken, on the OG Griffin's harpoon, he had a maximum range of 40 meters. If I'm not mistaken, ElectroGriffin's is different. His harpoon range is actually only 25 meters. So it is a very, very large difference as far as distance, because you need to keep in mind for each meter there's actually 3 feet in a meter. So there is a very big difference between the effective range of ElectroGriffin's harpoon and standard Griffin's harpoon. But that's not a problem, because to, I guess, kind of make up for the reduction in the range of ElectroGriffin's harpoon, what they've done is they have actually made the Griffin harpoon have damage over time, so it provides a dot now. So if you have the monster with the harpoon, the longer you hold it, it will continue to stack that damage on him. So as you can see, it's not a lot of damage at all. If I'm not mistaken, it's maybe about 13 or 15 damage per tick. So it's not a lot of damage. Okay, so you could kind of see it there. It was about 11 damage per tick, and I'm not running any kind of damage perks that I can remember in this game. If I'm not mistaken, for the perk setup, I took the weapon swap speed for my minor. For my major, I took, let's see, if I'm not mistaken, I had the enhanced defense. Because I notice a lot of times when you play Griffin, because of the harpoon, a lot of monsters will try to just take you out immediately. just simply to get rid of the CC. If they take out the CC, they can kind of run around freely. So I took the enhanced defense for my major, and then for my superior, I believe I actually took the borium battery for the recharge speed on the jetpack. So it's a decent way to set it up. You can, or no, I apologize. In this one, I actually took the weapon swap and the reload for my major, and then the borium battery. I apologize. But either way, the perk setup, again, it really just depends on your play style. What you feel comfortable playing and how you play can definitely drastically affect exactly what kind of setup you're going to use. But in this case, that's just what I felt would be most appropriate. But you can see it is definitely very annoying for him to have to deal with an ElectroGriffin because he has a decent sized magazine. So as long as you are continuing to shoot the monster and hit him with those rounds, he's going to stay slowed that entire duration, basically. So there is a lot of CC that can be provided by ElectroGriffin should you be in a good position. And that's with the main challenge, or the main issue that a lot of people have with Griffin. He is all about positioning. It is incredibly vital that you are in a good position and you are looking for your monster's abilities, because as the trapper, your entire job is to CC the monster and make his life a living hell while inside the dome or when trying to run away. So with that being said, your harpoon gun or your harpoon cannon should essentially be used if your monster is trying to escape. So if the dome is about to drop, you should have the monster's armor down. So as he's trying to run away, you want to try to harpoon him. Or if you notice that he is immediately focusing somebody like your medic, or maybe depending on who your support is, if he's starting to focus your support, you're going to want to try to immediately capture him. And you see here, we do have a Tech Sergeant Hank, which is a really good combo with any kind of a Griffin. Because if you can hit that harpoon while that orbital drill or that orbital barrage is going, you can make him sit in that and just soak so much damage. It is incredible. So you see here, I'm missing a couple of harpoons, which is why I have the reload speed. I find it very important. But at this point, we have the monster's armor down, and you can immediately tell the monster is looking to get the hell out of here. So once that dome drops, he's immediately going to be running. So I'm waiting to see the jump. Unfortunately, I time it just a little off on that one. I timed it about half of a second too early. But I immediately start just continuing to nail him with the SMG, get the slow, and start looking for the jump. Instead of running, he decided to turn to get the strike on me, which, to be completely honest, was a good call on his part, because he soaked so much damage, he needs to get some kind of a strike. But at this point, you see, whenever a Goliath is going to use like their leap smash or their charge, you can completely negate that ability by simply harpooning him. So if you see that your medic is low on health, or your, maybe your support, or hell, even your assault, if they are low on health, there is obviously a cast time for each monster's ability. You want to try to look for that cast time and harpoon him to cancel him out of that. So if you see him doing the leap smash, typically he'll stand still for a second and then he'll kind of crouch down before he does the jump into the air for the leap. The second you see that, you want to have your harpoon gun out and you just immediately want to try to tag him. And wherever you hit him, essentially it'll automatically cancel the animation of the monster's attack, and he'll essentially stay kind of stuck there in the air for a brief moment as it cancels the animation, and then he'll just drop straight to the ground. So it's really important to look for these abilities, look for these like wind-up animations, and try to cancel them out as best you can. Now, it's always important as well to keep your sound spikes in good positions. So if you see something happening, you want to keep moving your sound spikes. But you see how he is orbital drilled? Unfortunately, I was actually a little out of range for the harpoon, but I'm just going to see right there, that's a perfect example of that animation cancel. He went to go do a leap or a jump, and I harpooned him, and it immediately canceled his jump. He was basically stuck in midair. And there you can see his charge got canceled out. He moved forward a little bit, but he couldn't complete the charge, so he actually wasn't able to attack. And you see he's just focusing. This whole time I'm just getting free damage with that harpoon. And it plays a wicked cool solo. But it is always your job to try to cancel these animations, to make the monster's life impossible when he's trying to use these abilities. And it's very easy for Goliath, because the Goliath abilities telegraph pretty hard. But it can be a little bit more difficult for a matchup like a Kraken. I would not recommend taking Griffin into a Kraken. But you see, there again, canceled his jump, although there was some kind of weird lag and he just like teleported forward. So that was a little odd. But I would not recommend taking Griffin into like a Kraken fight. So if you know maybe the person that's playing monster plays Kraken a lot, I would not recommend it, or at least ElectroGriffin I would not recommend. Standard OG Griffin might not be as bad because again he has an additional 15 meters on the range of his harpoon. So a lot of times that could actually work a little bit better than ElectroGriffin can in those respects. But against somebody like Gorgon or a Behemoth or against like a Goliath, those monsters, ElectroGriffin is definitely very good at being able to cancel out their abilities, cancel out their attacks, and save their teammates. But you always want to try to make sure that you are staying close to a target of opportunity, because you know the monster is going to be focusing somebody. Typically, depending on your team comp, it's usually going to be the support or the medic that they're going to be focusing first. So I see the orbital drill drop, I do my best to try to cancel out the jump so that he can't get away, and then try to harpoon him to keep him in that orbital drill. It did not quite work as planned, but we were still able to try to get him off the back of, if I'm not mistaken, it was our support, or I think it was actually our medic he was going after there. But as you can see, ElectroGriffin does not really do a lot of damage. His SMG with 0 damage perks does approximately 8 damage per shot. So you're not going to be just dishing out tons of damage, but that does not mean that you should not be shooting him, because again, remember, his Gauss SMG will provide a slow over time for each shot. So it's still important that you are swapping out to your primary, shooting that monster, and then switching back to your harpoon gun. But the game is about to end here in just a few moments. We did corner the monster. He has no armor. And immediately I'm just going to switch to the harpoon, but instead he decided to focus me. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he actually takes me down here. But we just do whatever damage we can. And I get the harpoon gun ready, just to do whatever damage possible. But if I'm not mistaken, we actually win it right here. But I hope you guys learned something. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider hitting that like button or hitting that subscribe button. Leave a comment down below, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.